Hello, Comedic family, and welcome to my channel. This is finally happening. I know this is the introduction video to what I'm getting started and the content that I will be releasing. I do want to take a moment to thank all of you that have been so patient and allowing me to kind of just take my time and get in my element where I'm comfortable to where I can start this and it'll be great. And everything will just flow naturally. But again, thank you for your patience. Being completely transparent, I like to talk. And so when I'm talking, I like there to be a response. I'm very interpersonal. So talking to the camera was just a little different for me. But, I do recognize that people on the other side of this video do have a pulse, and it's going to be great. It's going to be uplifting for people that's going to be open and receptive to the content that I'm sharing. So I will dive right in. Basically what my channel is going to be surrounding is choosing the polarity that will determine your perspective and change your reality. I have encountered a event that has changed my life, and a lot of people would just be surprised by what I am going to share. But this event allowed me to begin to really live in a way that I wasn't living before. It was almost like closing a chapter, starting another one, or maybe using the analogy, a phoenix rising from the ashes is what I like to think about when I'm referring to this particular live event. But what I realized before this event took place is that I was actually preparing for it unbeknownst to me. I did not realize that what I was doing and what I was consuming, what I was feeding myself spiritually and mentally and emotionally, was preparing me for what was to come. I would say it was about almost a year ago. In a few days, it will be a year that I found this platform, and it's African spirituality, and the name of it is called Comedic Centered Living. About a year ago, I'd gone through, the world was just in a different place, with furloughs, and I'd gotten out of a relationship, and I just felt like something was missing, and it wasn't either one of those things. It wasn't the relationship. It wasn't where the world was. It was me. Like internally, I just didn't feel like, myself. I just felt something's off. And I remember waking up at like 3:00 in the morning on this day, and I just was like, what is it? It's like my soul was crying out, and I ended up digging. What came to mind was, I believe it was Nipsey Hussle's mother's eulogy, the eulogy that she gave at her son's service. And for whatever reason, I watched that way back when it happened, but that's what came to mind. And so I looked at it, and she had mentioned, African spirituality, and I was like, okay. So I Googled it, and Comedic Centered Living came up. So I opened it and I started reading the content, and what it was about was rewiring your mind to change your perspective, and realizing that all of us are God and goddesses, and we have the ability to change our reality. So when I began reading, everything just started flowing. I was so attracted to it, and it was almost like a moth to a flame. Like it was just the missing piece, and I couldn't get enough of it. And I found myself reading and doing research and consuming it. It was spiritual food, just like, feeding myself physically. I was, daily doing the lessons, and it's self-paced, but couldn't get enough of it because the tools that were being presented, I was actually able to practice. And one thing that I noticed was, before I was, manifesting things, but I felt like when I manifested them, I wasn't necessarily ready for them just yet. I hadn't created the atmosphere or done the work within myself to receive it, and it wasn't intentional. It was like I would meditate and I think about it, and then it would happen, and I was like, oh, Okay, so now what? But with this tool, I was able to intentionally manifest what it was that I wanted to bring to fruition. And everything just started happening. And I was able to bask in it, knowing that I intentionally allowed it to happen. I created it. And with being furloughed, I manifested the job that I want, the amount of money that I wanted, and the atmosphere that I wanted to be in on the date that I wanted to start. I wrote all of this down. I ended up manifesting the place where I wanted to live, exactly how I envisioned it, what the backyard looked like, a new car. And it was just fun because I got to see the fruits of the labor that I was putting into doing this research and reading and studying. So fast forward, at the beginning of this year, I actually lost my son tragically, and that is the event that changed my life. Now, the way that I chose to handle and am still handling things with that loss of I'd say physical life, because I still feel his presence, but how I dealt with that, it dawned on me that everything that I was doing and everything that I was reading was actually preparing me for that test, for what one would say maybe a marathon, because it isn't something that just happens and you get over it. But everything that I was consuming, I realized like my mind was being rewired so that when this event took place, I looked at it in a completely different light. Even, during, what was taking place, dealing with the police, the whole nine, just how calm I was, and, just how I handled myself, how I was able to calm my other children when this was going on, me being the observer and looking back at that situation. And I was just like, wow, how did you stay so calm? And it was all right there. It was all just laid out. I was able to see my son moments before this happened, by listening to my intuition, and even planning the service. I'll take you in another video. I'll take you through, just some things that happened, where it was completely me being led by my inner goddess, by my intuition. And we tend to say something told me, but that something has a name. It's your intuition. It's your guidance system. And so fast forward to today, I have really just, oh my gosh, the past few months have been amazing, with just some of the things that I've been able to do. And it all has everything to do with the polarity that I chose, which was to choose his life over focusing on his death. And that changed my perspective, and my reality has changed. And so the whole point of me sharing this is, again, the content that I will be, sharing with everyone, and those that will be receptive to what I'm saying, is to either help somebody that is going through, losing a loved one, or that has gone through losing a loved one, or that will go through losing a loved one, because we all experience death in, different capacities. We never know when it's going to come, but it's not the death that has to overtake our whole life and really be an event of doom. Just from what I've personally experienced, I continue to talk about me, is because this has been my experience with losing a child. A lot of people refer to that as the night of the dark soul, and I've experienced something completely different, and still experiencing that. Like I said, it's just been amazing, this journey. So I am excited to be able to share a lot of this content with you. I've just been working up to it, but I have written lots of things down, lots of just different situations that have taken place, that have led me to where I am right now. in a very good place, in a very healthy place. I do still experience feeling my son, and it's just miraculous the way I can explain it. But again, it all has to do with the tools that I was using to get to this point, and being able to see things in a positive light. So with that, I'm going to sign off. I'm not going to be long and drawn out, but this is the introduction. I did want to give you just a brief summary of what this channel is going to be about. But I do want you to take with you and ponder that it is the polarity that you choose that determines your perspective and will dictate the rest of your reality. So I look forward to everything that is coming to fruition for you and for me. But until next time, just keep that in mind, okay? Talk to you later, Comedic family. Ta-ta for now.